What's up guys, welcome to FoundFlix. On this Ending Explained, we will be looking at a movie I've gotten a ton of requests for. The long-awaited Jeepers Creepers 3 arriving 14 years after Part 2. What's interesting about 3 is just how similar it feels to the first two movies, even after such a long time between entries. This is both a good and bad thing, with the movie perhaps not quite living up to the long wait. Jeepers Creepers 3 still has a lot to like about it, despite some of my complaints. And once again, the Creeper is still menacing and awesome, this time giving us more understanding to the mysterious character and introduces interesting new developments to the Creeper's character and mythology. I'll only be focusing on what we learn about him in Part 3, but I was considering doing a full breakdown on the Creeper over all of the films, similar to what I did for Pennywise a while back, so let me know if you'd be interested in seeing that video. Alright guys, let's check out Jeepers Creepers 3, breaking down the big Creeper moments and explaining the ending that hints at where the series is heading next. The first thing I really need to explain is this series' nutty timeline. For some reason, Jeepers Creepers 3 is set literally right in between the events of 1 and 2. As the Creeper returns to feed for 23 days every 23 years, 3 is set during the same feeding cycle as Part 1 and 2. So chronologically, the series actually goes 1, 3, and then 2, which is why the Creeper isn't captured here like at the end of 2. Hopefully all that makes sense, as unfortunately things are even a bit more confusing timeline-wise, with the first scene taking place in the 70s, which would be during the Creeper's previous feeding cycle. Here a young man is chased by the Creeper brandishing a machete. He comes across a car in the road but is caught by the Creeper taken high into the air. A few moments later his machete falls from the sky, followed by a severed limb. This is actually the Creeper's hand. Apparently the guy got his hand before dropping his knife. This scene ends up being quite important later, and having a part of the Creeper allows us to learn its secrets. After this, we jump back into the series' main timeline, and the beginning of Part 3 picks up moments after the end of Part 1. At the end of Part 1, the Creeper arrives at the police station, taking the young man Derry flying away from the building. His sister Trish witnesses this, stepping outside, staring into the sky, her brother now a victim of the Creeper. And again, this opening of Part 3 takes place right after the end of 1, even seeing the broken window the Creeper just literally broke out of when taking Derry. Now at the station, there's a slew of officers showing up to the madness. And via lines spoken, the sergeant is told about what happened to Trish, but the cops have more important things to focus on right now, getting rid of the Creeper's infamous truck parked right outside. After getting the truck's doors open, the officers discover it is full of a bunch of bodies. One officer foolishly leans inside to get a closer look and learns the hard way about the Creeper's tricked out truck when a series of bars slam closed on him, tearing his arm. Booby traps! The Creeper's truck has always been a mainstay of the character, built with souped up defenses and boasts some new features this time out, like a long deadly spear attached to a rope that launches out of a pipe on the back, crashing into a car and causing serious damage. Here we also meet a group of Creeper hunters led by the cowboy hat wearing Sheriff Dan. Each of these guys have had their own encounter with the Creeper, so they formed a group to destroy the Creeper once and for all, which they have a chance at during its current feeding cycle. They don't know too much about the Creeper really, but as established in previous movies, he feeds on humans, and their fear in particular, able to smell it in the air, and he eats in order to rebuild himself. Dan explains to Sergeant Tubbs that its MO now is also trying to destroy information that might clue in others as to how to defeat it, like its truck, and warning there's no way it's going to make it to the impound. And right on cue, the tow truck transporting his ride is intercepted by the Creeper, slashing the chains and riding his truck off, disappearing into the distance, until out of nowhere the creature swoops down, attacking the man. Officer Dana trains a gun on him, but the Creeper subtly lets her know this isn't a good idea, wagging his finger at her, then snatching the man up and flying off into the night. From here we switch gears completely to a story featuring an older woman played by genre staple Meg Foster living on a farm with her adopted granddaughter Addison. This side story brings us some of the weakest parts of the movie. The romance between the two kids is awful, and the guy's name is literally Buddy! Buddy! Or how about spending several scenes focusing on Addison trying to get hay for her hungry horse Rocket because the family farm isn't doing so well? Yep, horse-related drama. That's why people watch Jeepers Creepers movies. The main focus of importance here is her grandma. She's still suffering from the loss of her son many years ago due to the creeper, and her son is the same one in the 70s sequence at the beginning who found the creeper's hand. She starts seeing him appearing in visions, always near a tree on their land, and he warns her that the creeper is coming back here, saying it wants what is buried in the spot, and that it ran out of time to get it 23 years ago. He is now a part of it, and that's how he knows what the creeper is up to. And just like the truck, any part of the creeper leaves evidence of its history behind, so it will be returning soon to the farm to retrieve its hand. But rather than flee as her son suggests, Meg stands her ground and begins to dig in the area looking for the part of the creeper her son buried there 2 decades ago. But before we get to any of that, who likes dirt biking? Aw, hell yeah! Sick moves, bros! This kid Kirk and his pals are out having an extreme time, and we learn about Kirk in his only previous scene that he is an awful person, getting off on harming cute little animals, as well as being guilty of looking like a low-rent Josh Hartnett. So clearly he and his pals are destined for an encounter with the creeper, and they come across his truck randomly parked in a field. The boys, believing the creeper is just a story, investigate the truck more closely, and when it looks like no one is around, decide to break shit up. Cool idea, super cool. And one kid throws a rock at the truck only for it to bounce right back and bonk him in the head. It's that crazy reinforced magical steel the truck is made out of, able to deflect anything that hits it. Kirk tries to get the doors open, which then open on their own, revealing several bound up bodies inside. Realizing the bodies are real, the kids hop on their bike speeding away. That is until the truck launches its rope hook once again, whizzing at high speed across the field, jamming right through Kirk's leg, knocking him off his bike. As they are about to attempt to pull the hook loose, the rope begins to tighten, dragging Kirk back towards the truck. They all come back to help him, except one kid who's just like, "See ya!" Once it's pulled all the way back, he's stuck there and begs the others not to leave as a body drops out of the sky, followed by the creeper landing on the truck's roof looking hungrily at the kids. The others run for their lives as the creeper retrieves his spear, taking his time to get his aim right, then hurls it at the kids, shish kebabbing them both, impaled by the spear on a tree. Nice shot, creepy! Very efficient, and you can throw them right on the grill this way. With Kirk in captivity, there's still that other kid for the creeper to take care of, who is frantically fleeing through the forest and catches some sweet air, but this makes it super easy for the creeper to nab him right out of the air. Boy, that just looked ridiculous. Oh man! Back at the farm, Meg unearths the creeper's hand, and when laid out, see that it is still functioning. She reaches out her hand towards the creeper's, which grabs hers in increasing intensity, even lifting her up off the ground. Her eyes glaze over white, and her body convulses violently while still hovering in the air. Info transfer! Looks like touching the hand is giving her a painful crash course lesson in the history of the creeper. But of course, we don't see anything she does, so the origins of the creature continue to remain a huge question. Later, Dan and the rest of the creeper crew show up, and he too touches the hand and learns about the creeper. But honestly, this doesn't really seem to help either of them much, and really doesn't come into play into the story at all, despite seeming, pretty important. While they're dealing with this, Addie and Buddy make it to a house for a hay delivery, discovering that the creeper is in the area. They don't know what's going on exactly, but they're about to find out all about it for themselves. A bloodied man appears at their window, then seeing the creeper flipping a tanker over, attacking another man as he tries to run off. Then he sets his sights on their truck, landing at the window and sniffing up on their delicious fear. Deciding that Addie is more afraid, he flies over to her side, putting his eye and then what must be his nose, 2 slits that inhale right on the window, flaring in excitement. He screams out, shattering the window and knocking over the truck with his mighty wings. And before Buddy can recover, he looks up realizing that the creeper took Addie. Oh no! Well, what are you gonna do about it, Buddy? He really doesn't do much to save Addie, instead just being in a state of shock rather than actually doing anything. In the creeper's truck, Addie comes to along with a still alive Kirk, removing their coverings and searching the truck for a way out. But Kirk cautions her that the truck is a death trap. Not heeding his own advice, Kirk goes to try the door handle, crawling right up in line with this thing behind him that looks suspiciously like a trap. And it is! Sending a pole right through his head. Now Addie is all alone, trapped in the booby-trapped creature's truck with no way out, forced only to wait for the creeper to return. At the farm, a call comes through about the flipped vehicle, and the creeper crew split up to try and catch him by surprise. Dan and Sarge are the first to happen upon the truck, opening fire to attempt to take out its tires. But just like every part of the creeper's truck, it is impenetrable, and bullets ricochet right off the tires and back at them. And the creeper retaliates, dropping a spiky ball from the truck that rolls right past them, but then changes directions, homing back in on them. Sarge gets a shot on it, creating a huge explosion. Wait, the creeper has homing bombs? How the hell did he make that? I honestly doubt they will ever explain his engineering wizardry, but it's still kind of cool to see more weapons in his arsenal. Speaking of serious firepower, other members of the hunting group roll up on the other side of the road, boasting a giant chain gun cannon mounted on their car. That would be able to do some damage in theory, but the creeper's truck is super reinforced as we've seen. But the guys find this out too late, opening fire on the truck, resulting in bullets bouncing back and killing both of them. The creeper drops another bomb, exploding under Sarge and Dan's truck, sending it flipping out of control off the side of the road. Sarge and Dan split up with Sarge shooting cover fire, and the creeper deflects the bullets with his axe. But Sarge does get a shot in on the creeper's fancy hat, knocking it right off his head. And it looks like this really pisses him off, tossing a throwing star of sorts at the sheriff, landing right in his gun, splitting the barrel. Then a voice calls out from nearby. It's Dan telling Sarge to get out of there, as he intends to use the cannon on the creeper. The creeper turns its attention to Dan running at him, who struggles to get the gun into place. And the creeper lunges into the air, floating in slow motion down towards him. And in the last possible moment, Dan gets the gun unstuck, unleashing a mass of bullets on the creeper, leaving black wispy smokes emitting from the holes. Well, that's gotta hurt him, right? That's a lot of bullets. And the creeper tumbles into Dan, knocking them both down to the ground. And for a moment, the two are unseen until the creeper rises, retrieving his axe, seeing it stuck in Dan's head. Oh, well that sucks. Guess that learning all about the creeper's history didn't do much good in him not dying. Also, apparently the creeper leaves Sarge alone because we next see him returning to the truck where Addie is still trapped. She hides again when he enters, and it seems like he doesn't notice her. But he appears right on top of her, smelling her delicious fear once again, going for one of his many killing devices. Addie is then able to use the creeper's truck trap against him, sending the pole right through the creeper's head, causing his eyeball to pop out. Momentarily stunned, Addie is able to make it out of the truck, but the creeper is right behind her, but we see it's wounded and unable to fly. So he goes back for one of his spear things, having difficulty using it due to his missing eye, and it misses Addie, only getting her jacket. He then appears from the fog wielding his axe, and suddenly enveloped in a bright white light, which we see belongs to a semi-truck that plows right into the creeper. Well, that was a well-timed random semi on a farm road in the middle of nowhere in the dead of night. Not even this is adequate to kill the creeper, who finally makes it to Meg's farm, finding a sign from her that says "We know what you are," with his hand attached. The creeper takes the old gross hand, breaking it into dust, and successfully covering up the evidence of his past. And even though the hand is gone, Meg is still alive and knows his secret, so she could still take him out in the end. And Addie is later found on the highway by Buddy, who's here just in time to save the day. Thanks for everything you did, man. Couldn't have done it without you. Wait, what did you do? Nothing. After this, everyone believes the creeper is gone, but his feeding cycle isn't quite over, as we soon learn. Buddy shows up to say goodbye to Addie. He's off to some big sporting event, joining his fellow players on the bus, waving like a doofus as they drive off. And what we are seeing in this scene leads directly into the events of Jeepers Creepers 2, which featured a bunch of kids on a bus who encountered the creeper. And that is the same bus that drives off here. It looks like Buddy is amongst the unlucky on board that don't make it out. Bummer for Buddy. And it's Jeepers Creepers 2 that truly shows us the end of his current feeding cycle seen over the 3 films, where in the end the creature is trapped by Taggart and seen 23 years later still under his guard. But back to our story here, which after Buddy leaves shows us articles strewn all over the place, featuring different people describing encounters with the creeper, accompanied by a woman giving a voiceover about the creeper's whereabouts. It's Trish, our surviving protagonist from Jeepers Creepers 1. We learn this scene is set 23 years after what we just saw. Trish telling us this time when it comes back, "I will destroy the thing that killed my brother," staring directly into the camera, declaring, "Come and get me, you son of a bitch." Again, just to clarify the series' convoluted timeline, this final scene takes place 23 years after the events of Jeepers Creepers 2, which ended the creeper's feeding cycle seen over 1 through 3. So now, 23 years later, it's about time for the cycle to begin once again. again. This time, however, Trish is ready for him and is determined to take him down as revenge for taking her brother. This all sets up a story in a potential part 4 with the return of Trish engaging in a final battle with the Creeper in present day during its next feeding cycle. Hopefully 3 made enough money that they can continue the story in part 4, because I actually really want to see that story play out. Who better to finally take out the Creeper than Trish? It would help tie the series together into a cohesive whole and perhaps bring it to a satisfying conclusion. But she will have to find a way to also learn about the creature's secret origins like Meg and Dan did. Unfortunately, Dan is dead, and most likely Meg also wouldn't be alive over 2 decades later after part 3. So that's gonna be tough for her to figure out. Maybe they will also consider bringing back Taggart, who technically at the end of 2, also in present time, has the creature still captured. But I also wouldn't be surprised if when part 4 picks up, if the Creeper has already escaped and Taggart is just dead. Because if the creature is already captured, that's not gonna make for much of an epic battle. I must destroy him! Oh, there he is, just hanging out. Well, time to die, I guess. All right, that'll wrap it up for my look at Jeepers Creepers 3. Overall, the movie doesn't quite feel worth the wait, but the Creeper is still badass, and that's all that really matters, honestly. And I am still excited by the story set up by the ending, so perhaps we will get Trish and the Creeper coming face to face once again in part 4. What did you guys think of Jeepers Creepers 3 and its ending? Was it worth the wait for you? And would you like to see me do a full creature breakdown on the Creeper? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Thanks for watching FoundFlix. See you next time.